Hey guys, Marsing here bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so with the start of part 3 of the anniversary, we are going to be getting the EZAs for both of the 3-year anniversary LRs, the INT Vegito and the physical Gogeta. So we are going to go ahead and do the team building guides. We're going to start off with the INT Vegito one. So this is a typical LR EZA, which means that it is 10 stages. You fight your way up through the various forms of the card until you get to the LR version. You never actually go up against Vegito, so the fight will be against Goku and Vegeta all the way through. A typical 10 stages. You obviously get the medals to EZA the unit, 5 Kais to get them up to SA25, 30 stones overall, because it's 10 stages, but you get 3 stones per stage. And then you do get a bunch of INT orbs as well. There is a mission literally just to clear stage 7, which will give you 3, so you get 33 stones in total. So, like a normal LR EZA, the weakness in terms of dealing damage is legendary power. So the more LRs you have, and the more you can get legendary power active as a link, the more damage you are going to do. So ideally you want to bring as many LRs as possible. However, you obviously do still want to try and operate within the confines of the actual specialist category, which for this particular EZA is final trump card. So for example, what I mean by that is it's probably better to bring a couple of TURs from final trump card who have type advantage, as opposed to maybe bringing like a tech LR from final trump card, because even though they're going to have legendary power, they have type disadvantage and could end up taking a lot of damage. So as always with my team building guides, we're going to have a look at the category. We're going to go through some of my top picks and honorable mentions. If there's any units that you think I missed out or I should have talked more about, make sure you let me know down below in the comment section. And if you find this guide helpful at all, do go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So, straight away you can see from the leaders, I didn't bring up their pages, but we have the 5-year LRs are the main category leaders for Final Trump card, but obviously they've both kind of fallen off a little bit, and Tech Vegito is going to have type disadvantage throughout the entire run. So, if you have to use them as a leader, so you can just run a full Final Trump card team and not have to worry too much about fitting units in under other units' leader skills, you will be able to use these guys, but you probably just want to have them floating in slot 3, where they do get a certain amount of built-in dodge chance, and then hopefully they're just not going to take too much damage and are basically just there to provide the leader skill for your team. But one of the things to talk about straight away is the fact that both of the actual main anniversary LRs are on this category. So obviously if you pulled one or both of these units, using their team is obviously going to be very good. The LR Super Saiyan 4s are of course on the LR Gods team, whereas they are obviously not on the Super Saiyan 4's team. So if you have both, you can run these guys as the leader and then bring these guys along as well. They do guard on turn 1, so obviously that mitigates the fact that the gods are going to have type disadvantage, at least for the first turn. And considering how powerful these units are, if you actually have legendary power active for them, chances are you are going to be clearing through the first few stages easily enough that you're not really going to have to worry about the type disadvantage. So if you have pulled one or both of the part 1 LRs, they probably are the best way to go in terms of the leader skill. I think the gods obviously win out in terms of the leader skill just because power beyond Super Saiyan is such a huge category, but there are a lot of fused fighters on Final Trump card as well. So both of these guys can operate as very good leaders. Next up, we obviously have the Part 2 LR Kaioken Goku. So he has a Final Trump card leader skill, 4 key and 150%. So you can use him as the leader if you've pulled him. He doesn't fit on either of the Anniversary LR's teams. So obviously you wouldn't be able to use him if you're running them as the leads. But you could use him as a leader and then run both the Part 1 LRs on his team, because 150% leader skill is going to be more than enough for the units of this level of power. This guy is an absolute beast. You are fighting a unit whose name includes Vegeta, so he is going to get his entrance animation and his extra damage, so he will be really, really good in this EZA. So he's actually probably worth bringing. If you have him, it's probably worth just using him as a leader, because then it gives you that more open team building. Although, you know, the argument can be made that these guys have 200% leads, so obviously they're going to be dishing out much more damage on their own teams. But this guy's a very good stand-in as a leader. So next up we have the Str Goku and Vegeta that fuse into Vegito. Battle of Wits and Majin Buu Saga features a lot of Final Trump card units, because a lot of fusions are on there that are also on Battle of Wits. There's a few like Buu units as well that are on Final Trump card that will obviously be on Majin Buu Saga. But even if you're not using them as a leader, these are obviously another good unit that can fit on the team. EZAs are not as hard as some of the other harder content, so being able to get the free heal with the Vegito fusion and then fire off a bunch of counters is going to be really useful. This isn't like the red zone where you bring Vegito out and then he just gets absolutely destroyed by normal attacks. So he can be very, very good in EZAs, especially because that heal is always nice in an event where you can't use items. So definitely a worthwhile addition to the team. Next up we have Full Power Frieza. So Full Power Frieza, Sworn Enemies or Planet Namek Saga. I think you can make a team out of his leader skill, although you might have to settle for some subpar units, which is probably not the best idea. But he's a very good unit on the team. Like if you are just using a general Final Trump card leader skill, then this guy can be very good. You are fighting an enemy whose name includes Goku. So he gets guaranteed crits against the enemy. He obviously gets the guaranteed additional if he gets hit in slot 1, or if he's in slot 2 or 3, he has a chance to additional, so he can be good. There are a couple of other Wicked Bloodline units on this category that we can go over who could work as very good link partners for him, although some of them aren't even on his leader skill, so I don't think he's the best choice as a leader, but he's a very good unit to have on the team. We can also use his active skill as well, because he's a super class enemy, so once you get him to 30% or less HP, you can use that to potentially finish them off. It will guaranteed crit as well, because you're fighting a Goku, so this could very easily be the finishing blow on the last few phases, so very, very good. Then we have Buu Tanks, who will transform into Buuhan. Power Absorption or Martian Power, I don't think you can make a full Final Trump card team, but as just a unit to run on the team, he's pretty good. Obviously he has type advantage, he's an LR, so he's going to have legendary power. He recovers a certain amount of HP at the start of the turn. He gets additional ki with ki orbs, so it's not a huge issue if you don't have a lot of units that have really good key links with him. He also has a built-in chance to additional, so even if you somehow don't get enough ki for him to super in the first place, he can still potentially get an additional super attack. And then once you get to turn 4, you can transform and transform into Buuhan. And then obviously once he becomes Buuhan, he gets big bad bosses, becomes a much more powerful unit. Turn 4, you're probably not going to go much longer than that in an EZA, so you can use his transformation as a good way to finish off that battle. And there's a couple of units that you could potentially link him up with, but he's a decent choice if for nothing else he's got type advantage and can give you some healing. Next up we have Super Saiyan 4 Vegito. So he's a physical unit. He is obviously only a TUR. We're going to go into some TURs now. But he has type advantage. He supports Giant 8 power, so if you are running the Super Saiyan 4s, he obviously fits nicely on their team with Fused Fire. He has Saiyan Raw, Fierce Battle, so he works really, really well alongside them. He also has the chance to counter super attacks, which can be very, very good. So this guy overall I think is very good. If you are running the LR Super Saiyan 4s, on the team, whether you're running their leader skill or not, if you have this guy, if you summoned on heroes, then he is a very, very good unit to use alongside them. And obviously that super attack counter can come in very clutch, so he's a good one. Physical Piccolo is one that I thought I would include here as kind of like an honorable mention, mainly because he doesn't fit on a lot of the leader skills unless you're running a general Final Trump card lead. But even if he's not getting the leader skill buff, he can be useful to bring in the harder stages because of his ability to permanently have the scouter effect. So he will see enemy super attacks regardless of turn number, HP, any of that kind of stuff. He has permanent scouter, which is a really powerful effect. So you can combine that really nicely with if you are using units like the Vegetos to get counters, or the units that can counter supers, you can see where they are. So even if he's not getting the leader skill, He has type advantage. He raises defense on super if you can get a super attack with him, because obviously if he's not getting the super, he's not going to be getting a lot of ki. But he can be very good even without actually being under the leader skill, just because of his utility. So he's worth considering. Then we have Kefla. So physical Kefla, obviously after her EZA, she changes orbs. She's a nuking style unit. She can be very, very effective. She has type advantage. She's on the fused fighter leader skill and power beyond Super Saiyan. She's a Super Saiyan 2. So she fits on either of the anniversary LR's teams for this EZA. So she can be very effective as well. Next up, we have the Super Saiyan 3 Buu Tanks. So again, he's a fusion. He's a Super Saiyan 3, so he's on both the LR leader skills. He has a built-in chance to dodge. If you're getting his 12 key super, he can do a decent amount of damage. Obviously, he's not an LR, so he's not going to be doing as much damage in these kind of LR EZA battles, but he can still be very good. Can link up nicely with some of the other units. Like I say, it's very easy to make teams with the 2 anniversary LR's leader skill, so this guy can be very, very good. Next up, we have Physical Vegito Blue. Same kind of situation. He's on both teams. He can get a bunch of additional attacks. Then he can start firing off a bunch of counters. So even though he's not an LR, if you start getting a load of crit counters, then obviously the extra damage that he does can build up. So he can be really, really good. And he's a really good link partner with a lot of the other units on the team. So definitely a solid option. Then we have Physical Cooler. So they don't share a ton of links, but he's a unit that you could feasibly bring along to link up with LR Full Power Frieza. He's really good, can get a bunch of additional attacks, builds up over time. So he's not the perfect unit for EZAs, because obviously he gets much stronger multiple turns into the event, but he can be very good, and as I say, is a unit that can share a few links with Full Power Frieza. Not an optimal rotation by any stretch, but obviously can still be very, very effective. So definitely a worthwhile consideration. Then we have Str Cooler, who kind of fits in the same boat. He will actually support Full Power Frieza as well, so he could be a decent option to run alongside him. You can transform on turn 3 because you're fighting a pure Saiyan, and then you start getting guaranteed crits, so he could start doing a decent amount of damage as well. So definitely an option. Obviously, because he starts off as the 4th form Cooler, you can run both of these guys at the same time. So they can work very well, especially with the LR Full Power Frieza on the team. So next up, we have the Str Super Boo. So he's not great. He's outdated by now. Hopefully he'll get an EZA at some point soon. But if you are running physical Buu Tanks, then obviously you can run these guys together as a rotation, and they will work very effectively. He doesn't transform until you get to turn 5, so chances are you're not going to see him transform at all. But he can be effective if you are running Buu Tanks. If you're not running the LR, I don't really see any reason why you would run this guy, to be honest. Next up, we have Majin Vegeta. So, Majin Vegeta, we didn't mention him. He is a 200% leader. Vegeta Family or Majin Buu Saga. There's not a huge amount of units that you can kind of make a team for this that are on Final Trump Card. You could use him as a leader as a last resort, I guess. But he fits onto this team. He shares a lot of links with some of the units that we've already mentioned. Like, some of the Vegito Blues, some of the other fusions have links like Over in a Flash, Super Saiyan Fierce Battle. I don't think there's many Trunkses on Final Trump Card, though. Let's have a look here just to see if we can bring anyone who really stands out that would trigger his entrance animation. Would Trunks and Mai, does it have to be includes Trunks? Because I guess technically it would be for him, right? So yeah, we would be able to bring him. I think, is he the only one? Wow, yeah, I think he is the only Trunks on Final Trump Card. I'm surprised. Wait, the Tech Spirit Sword one isn't on here. That's crazy. Or the Int Spirit Sword one. Why are they not on Final Trump Card? That's a bit weird. But yeah, so I guess technically you could bring this Trunks and Mai to activate the entrance animation, but I don't know if I would bother with that. I mean, as long as he's not in slot 1 and you're getting the super attack first, his defense can still be decent. So he could be a good option for the team. Obviously, he has his active skill as well. Once he's received a certain number of attacks, gets a guaranteed crit, so you could use that as a finisher. So he could be pretty decent. And then we also have the 2 Super Saiyan 4 Gogetas. So remember, in an EZA, you can't bring same name units, so you can only bring one or the other. The Tech one has type disadvantage, so you would think the Int one probably is the best one, especially because he gets most of his power for the first 8 turns and then starts to drop off a little bit, which doesn't matter for an EZA because you're probably never going to get to turn 8. The only difference, of course, despite having type disadvantage, this one has an EZA, so post super attack, his defense is really good, and then he has a 70% chance to counter super attacks, whereas the INT one only has the 50%. So either of these guys could be very useful on the team. Another fusion that's under both leader skills has links like Over in a Flash Super Saiyan. So as you can see, you can build a pretty solid cohesive team under either of the LR's leader skills, or you can just run a generic team with the actual final trump card leaders. And there is this free-to-play Goku is like an option, I guess, if you don't have any other final trump card lead. But we did cover some other units that you could use as the leader instead. So, just having one last look at the category. I didn't really include any of the tech ones apart from the gods because they can guard. But I guess the Goku and Vegeta who fuse into Gogeta could actually still be pretty good as well. AGL Majin Vegeta post super attack, his defense isn't terrible, so he could be okay. Turles, his defense is not great, but he could still be pretty good. Unfortunately, he has a lot of like limited links that only other Turles units have, but if you have some other Saiyans on the team, you are going to get some links active at least. STR Vegito Blue could be a decent free-to-play option. Obviously, we don't have his EZA yet, so it takes him a while to stack. Roshi is a good option because of his revive and the fact that he's got type advantage, but he doesn't really fit on any of the teams outside of the actual just final trump card leader skill. Same can be said of Goku and Piccolo. They are a decent unit for this event because they have type advantage, and JP didn't have this unit out when this EZA came out, but they just don't really fit on the teams very well, which is unfortunate. And then in terms of TURs, I mean, I guess you could get away with running like AGL Super Vegito, AGL Zamasu. The AGL Great 8 Vegeta is not bad after his EZA, I guess, to be fair. Candy Vegito, if he dodges, otherwise he probably takes quite a lot of damage. INT Gotenks can be pretty good. Hercule for the dodges, I guess, if you're really lacking on options. STR Blue Kaioken Goku, I'm not a huge fan of. I probably wouldn't bring him. Topo could make a good support, but he's not on a lot of the team leads other than the general final trump card. Chow Man, unironically, as a physical unit, could be pretty good. He's on the fusions leader skill for the LR Super Saiyan 4s, but sacrificing HP in an event where you can't heal is probably not ideal. And then I guess physical Super Vegito could be useful just because of the type advantage, but he's a much weaker unit nowadays. So there you go. Those are the top picks and honorable mentions for final trump card. Let me know down below in the comment section, like I say, if you think there's any units I missed or that I should have talked about in more detail. And let me know what your team build is going to look like for the INT LR Vegito Extreme Z battle. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.